Have you ever felt completely stuck? Like you're staring at a blank page or an empty canvas, or even your life thinking, where did my creativity go? That dreaded creative block can make us feel like our spark has completely vanished. But the truth is, it's not gone, it's just waiting to be recovered. Today, I would like to share a book that I believe every creative from any field should pick up and read at least once in their life. This book is called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Since its publication in 1993, it has changed millions of people's lives, from painters to writers, teachers, entrepreneurs, and even parents break through resistance and recover and reclaim their creative spark. I have done this journey before, and it has changed me and my creative life. This time, I'm doing it again. But now I'd like to invite you to walk through it together. So if you're interested, today I'd like to share two of Julia Cameron's most powerful tools in the artist's way that could be life-changing for you as well. So let's begin our week 0 of the artist's way. I get it. Between work deadlines, school pickups, family dinners, and just trying to keep your house running, finding time for yourself feels impossible. But here's the truth. Creativity isn't selfish, it's fuel. And by nurturing it, you don't just refill your cup. You show up with more energy and patience and joy for everyone else in your life. That's why Julia Cameron's approach is so revolutionary. It's simple, it's doable, and it's flexible. You can choose to practice it weekly, monthly. It is advised to do it daily, but depending on your season of life, you can do it even with 10 minutes in your day. And you don't have to call yourself an artist to begin. The journey is really for anyone who feels the pull of something more, to fulfill the need to create rather than to consume. So let's discuss who the Artist's Way is for. So who is this book really for, you may ask? I'd like to think that this book is for anyone who's looking to change their life in whatever means they want. If you are someone who's a blocked or burnt out artist, maybe you've stared at a blank page for too long, or avoided the canvas, or maybe lost your spark for music. You know the ache of being blocked. Julia Cameron offers morning pages and artist dates to break through that resistance and reconnect with the joy of making, because there are exercises in this book that will allow you to go through the things that are preventing you from really committing to the work and putting yourself out there creatively. The next group of people that this book may appeal to are people in transition. I've been in this predicament before, where you may be in a corporate job and wondering, what if I meant to do something different? Maybe your kids are grown and you're finally having the space to ask, what now? Maybe you're recovering from illness or divorce or a loss, and you're trying to rebuild a sense of self. Creativity here isn't decoration, it's a way to reimagine your identity. The next group of people I would like to think this book is for is everyday people who don't call themselves artists. This book is not only for painters or poets or writers, it's for teachers, for business owners, for parents, for healers, even accountants and dentists. Creativity means problem solving. It's imagination in daily life. It's creating something that wasn't there before. So whether it's a new business, whether it's a new vision for your work, this book will allow you to have play, spontaneity, and joy into routines that might be rigid or might have become stale in your life. This book is also for anyone who's struggling with perfectionism or self-doubt. If you're someone whose inner critic is louder than your own voice, this book will be for you. If you secretly want to create but tell yourself you're not talented enough, this book will help you overcome that obstacle. Cameron reframes creativity as a birthright. It's not a luxury. It's not something that only a selected few is entitled to. It's for everyone. You don't just earn it by being good enough. You already have it. Every day that you are here, you're creating. For spiritual seekers, the artist's way isn't just about art. It's about meaning, intuition, synchronicity, and flow. So it's about listening to that still voice inside you and realizing creativity can be a path to the sacred, to something bigger than yourself, even if you don't identify as someone who's religious. Finally, this book, and I guess the reason why I'm sharing it with you, is it's for communities and groups. I think the more people are able to freely express themselves, the more joy they can contain and the more generous they can be with sharing their talents and their abilities. The more that you're able to express your voice and express yourself, rediscover your talents and your skills, the more you'll be of service to others and the more joy you can contain and share with the people in your life. So this book might be something for book clubs or recovery circles or even corporate teams. I used to work in HR, so learning and development was something that was really important in that field. And so the Artist's Way, together with groups of people who are like-minded or have the same goals, this creativity becomes not just for personal healing, but it is communal. So it's a way of sparking trust and connection through shared expression. So that's who I believe this book is for. So if you're any one of those people, then I really, really recommend reading this book. Finally, let's talk about the basic tools. Now that we've spoken about who this book may be for, I'd like to talk to you about the structure of the book before proceeding to talk about the basic tools as promised in the beginning of the video. I wanted to give you a thorough expectation of what this book entails so that you're prepped for it. So that's what this whole week 0 is about. Essentially, this book is a 12-week creative recovery program. Now, although it's recommending that you complete one chapter for 1 week, I am going to be doing this every fortnight. The reason being is that after having completed this twice already before, I found that 1 week was a little bit of a rush for me, considering what I also have to do in real life, which is I have a part-time job, I homeschool my son, and I just have a house to run. So fortnightly is something that works for me. So whatever works for you, I think you should be the one to decide how to schedule it. Every week has a theme. So for example, the first week is about recovering a sense of safety. Another chapter is recovering a sense of identity. The next chapter might be recovering a sense of abundance. So it entails readings. There's a lot of reflections on creativity, on blocks, and how to achieve breakthroughs. There are also tasks and exercises. So practical activities that's sometimes playful, sometimes deep, and it's really there to challenge and to release your creativity. So now I am going to talk to you about the 2 core tools that's involved in this book. Now that we've touched upon the 12-week program and the structure of the book, I want to finally talk to you about the basic tools. The first basic tool in Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way is called the morning pages. Now, the morning pages essentially requires you to write 3 pages of free-flowing writing first thing in the morning. With me, the way I do it is I wake up and I do 2 pages. The first page is just a reflection, just free-flowing thoughts and just getting my mind clear for the day. So it's like written meditation. I think it's like written meditation. The second page would be my to-do list. And then I go about my daily routine. So I would go and walk Stella, my dog, and exercise and have breakfast. So when I'm having breakfast, then I do the third page. And what that might be is a response to a question from that week's activity. So it might be a proposed idea that Julia Cameron presents, and then I would respond to it in a page. So it's like 1 page for me, 1 page for my to-do list, and 1 page as a response to the book. It's not meant to be pretty, and it's not meant to be reread again. It's like a brain dump. So it's a way to clear out all the mental clutter so that your creative voice has space to speak out. And even if you only write 1 page and you do it 3 times a day instead of daily, that's a good point to start. You can do it first thing in the morning as your to-do list, then find 5 minutes to spare in the lunch hour, and then maybe a gratitude page for the end of the day as you wind down for sleep. So that's the morning pages. The second tool that Julia Cameron presents us in The Artist's Way is called the Artist Date. Now, this might seem like an extravagant thing or a luxurious thing, but really it can be as simple as you want it to be. The second tool is essentially you need to schedule a weekly date with yourself. So no one else with you but yourself. No kids, no partners, no work emails, no pets. It's just you doing something playful and inspiring. And it doesn't even have to be going out for coffee. It can be going out for coffee or going to an art store or the thrift shop, and it could be just walking through a garden or watching a quirky film by yourself. So think of it as soul care, not self-indulgence. Some weeks it might just be an hour, some it might be months at a time, but as long as you keep a promise to yourself that your creativity matters. It's not about spending money or getting away from people. It's just nurturing your inner child, taking your inner child out so that they are happy and they can express themselves. The way I used to do this when I lived alone was I would go and watch foreign films in an indie theater, or I would go for long walks. It just really depends. There are also a couple of other concepts that are discussed by Julia Cameron, so I think these are useful tips before we begin week 1 of The Artist's Way. The first thing is called the shadow artist. What exactly is a shadow artist? It's basically people who are drawn to creative spaces and drawn to creative individuals, but they hesitate to step into their own creativity. They might be teachers or critics or assistants or supporters, but deep down, they also long to create for themselves as well. If this resonates with you, you're not alone. Recognizing that you might be someone who's like watching from the sidelines instead of doing your own thing, it's the first step to reclaiming your voice. And if I've learned anything from being on this earth for at least 41 years, it's that finding your purpose means expressing yourself and living up to your own potential, whatever that may be. So this course is for you to step out of being a shadow artist and become the creator of your own art and create in your own life. The next concept that Julia Cameron explores in this book is what is called the creator. The creator is essentially the realization that there's a greater power other than yourself. So it doesn't have to be, in a sense, from a religious perspective. It just means that you have to realize you are not the source of your creativity. You are the vessel and the means for this creative idea to make its way out into the world, if that makes sense. A lot of creative people have spoken about this. I remember David Lynch talking about catching creative ideas like fishing. Here are a few other creatives that actually talk about being in touch with the creator and what it's like to be the vessel instead of the source.
Art's not a luxury, it's actually sustenance. We need it. Okay, well, what is it? Human creativity is nature manifest in us.
Ideas are the number one thing. And if you have some, if you have the first idea, that's the most critical one. And then I say it's like bait in fishing. That idea will, if you focus on it, it'll draw other ideas in. But you don't know. Like fishing, you have to have patience. You don't know how long it'll take. But if you keep focusing on it and wiggle the line a little bit, it'll bring them in.
Do you ever think about why you want what you want? I want to be this kind of artist. I want to be a comic book artist. I want to be an abstract artist. I want to be this kind of athlete because I saw Michael Jordan, because I saw Michael Jackson, because I saw Mike Tyson, because I saw some Michael do something. You're a poser. You're a poser. Now it's your time to be a composer. Do you know how to compose? So you're not posing anymore.
We all are artists. The question is, are we a better artist today than we were yesterday? And are we doing everything we can to be the best artist we can be tomorrow? And we're all art. We may not all be Da Vinci, but are we better than we were? And can we continue to become better and better and better? And it's an ongoing, iterative process over the course of our lives.
In ancient Greece and ancient Rome, People did not happen to believe that creativity came from human beings back then, okay? People believed that creativity was this divine attendant spirit that came to human beings from some distant and unknowable source for distant and unknowable reasons. Socrates famously believed that he had a daemon who spoke wisdom to him from afar. The Romans had the same idea, but they called that sort of disembodied creative spirit a genius. Which is great, because the Romans did not actually think that a genius was a particularly clever individual. They believed that a genius was this sort of magical divine entity who was believed to literally live in the walls, who would come out and sort of invisibly assist the artists with their work and would shape the outcome of that work. So brilliant, there it is, right there, that distance that I'm talking about, that psychological construct to protect you from the results of your work. So the ancient artist was protected from certain things like, for example, too much narcissism, right? If your work was brilliant, couldn't take all the credit for it. Everybody knew you had this like disembodied genius who had helped you. If your work bombed, not entirely your fault, you know? Everyone knew your genius was kind of lame. And this is how people thought about creativity in the West for a really long time.
You could say that it's the soul, the neshama, right? That the soul is above us on a higher plane, our own, your soul, my soul, and is trying to reach down to us and communicate with us. And we're trying simultaneously to reach up to it through prayer or through, if you're a writer or an artist, you know, when you sit down at the keyboard, you're entering into a kind of prayer. You're entering into a different state of an altered consciousness to some extent. You're opening yourself, opening the pipeline, or turning on the radio to tune into the cosmic radio station.
My beautiful kindred spirits, I stand before you today to speak on the gift, the light, the fire that burns within us all, the spirit of creativity. Oh yes, it is a force, a mighty wind that moves through our souls, stirring the depths of who we are, lifting us higher than we ever thought we could go. Creativity is not simply an act of doing, it is an act of being. It is the whisper of the soul, the breath of existence, the rhythm of life itself.
The creator isn't about perfection or masterpieces. It's about the process and curiosity and play. It's about showing up without judgment. And there's a key. You don't need permission. You need inspiration. And that comes from realizing that creativity surrounds you. And you can choose to step into that identity today. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below what creative practice you would like to keep for yourself this week. Also, if you would like to follow along, I'll be walking through the Artist's Way every fortnight with reflections, tools, and practical ways to fit creativity into your real life. I'll also provide you with resources and links down in the description below, so if you're interested in joining us for this journey, please click on the subscribe button and let's recover our creativity together. Thanks again for watching and spending your time with me. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi guys. If you enjoy creative living, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.